If you were to stand on a street corner hollering that the government is poisoning our water supply, you'd probably get little more than eye rolls and head shakes. But do the same thing in a radio booth, you might just get 1 million listeners a day. Such is the case for Alex Jones, a man who trades in such sinister conspiracy theories, you have to wonder if he really believes half of what he says. Dan Harris went to Texas to find out.
Are you for Hitler or against Hitler? Whatever they say is the opposite. They never tell the truth.
To Alex Jones, the world is a very dark place.
America has been captured. America is being robbed. We are now being looted like a third world nation. Well, I'm not going to sit down and shut up. World government means world tyranny run by a scientific dictatorship of control freaks that want to carry out forced population reduction.
Do you actually believe everything you say?
I believe all of it, absolutely. What I'm telling is the truth.
None of it is, you know, a shtick, a show at all?
No, it's all true.
Jones is arguably the nation's premier purveyor of what could be called paranoia porn.
The Obama deception. The truth strikes back.
I'm live in 30 seconds.
All right. His 6-day-a-week radio show and webcast reach an estimated 1 million people a day.
This federal intrusion is out of control.
And on YouTube and elsewhere, Jones estimates 200 million people have seen his various documentaries.
We're taking our destiny back! You're not our gods or our masters!
With titles like The Fall of the Republic, Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, and The Obama Deception. Do you think Obama's a criminal?
Barack Obama is definitely an unconstitutional criminal.
Jones espouses a litany of conspiracy theories, although he thinks that term belittles his reporting. FEMA's running concentration camps?
Yes. They have designated sports stadiums. They have designated fields for the American people during a civil uprising.
The government's poisoning the water?
Absolutely. I have all these other government documents where the government proposes and government think tanks propose poisoning the water to dumb down the population, make them more easily manageable.
9/11 was an inside job?
Yes, 9/11 was an inside job. It was a staged event to launch the Iraq War and to set up a domestic police state here in the United States.
Look in the mirror.
People who monitor hate groups say they are extremely worried about the influence Jones has. You know this, but you have these vociferous critics who say that by floating these highly charged ideas at a time when the country is already very angry and anxious, that you're making things more dangerous.
Look, I've got to report the information I see and what I believe is happening. I have a responsibility to put out the information, and then what people do with it, that's their issue. We've got ABC Nightly News / Nightline here.
Despite his mistrust of the so-called mainstream media, Jones agreed to let us into his world for a day.
Hey, we're just soldiers looking across each other on the picket line here.
Jones says he doesn't allow his dim view of human nature to color his personal relationships. Do you have a sense of who your listeners are in terms of demographics? He's downright ebullient about his wife and their 3 young children. So your son knows the word propaganda?
Yes.
A 7-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you're Alex Jones' son.
I mean, the most important thing is he knows everybody has an agenda, including myself.
All I'm calling for is a real investigation, and the people of Oklahoma City have been calling for an investigation.
Jones, who's 36, got his start with a local cable access show in the 1990s. He now has a huge fan base, which includes celebrities like Willie Nelson, Jesse Ventura, Charlie Sheen.
We want our country back, Mr. President. I'm calling on each and every American citizen to wake up, stand up, and demand the truth.
And Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag.
Spencer Pratt, good to have you on with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be on with you. You are a true legend, a true American patriot.
Do you think there's some percentage of the people who watch you who do it for entertainment value?
A very low percentage, but we have heard that before.
While he admits that some people may watch him purely for entertainment, he says the real reason for his recent growth is that the public increasingly mistrusts government.
There's a scientific dictatorship controlling the planet.
However, Jones sometimes seems to latch onto small pieces of information to prove his much larger, more sinister theory.
We've been warning you.
For example, while we're here, he says this about an article he found on CNN.com.
And they recommend having a one-child policy.
And I looked up the article, and I have it, and I can pull it up for you. It's actually a fluffy feature piece interviewing a woman who wrote a semi-jokey book about having environmentally friendly sex. in which he talks about doing dating
and
on
then
your bicycle.
slipped in there, it says we might want a one-child policy or to
Yeah,
adopt.
but it was a sarcastic little aside, not like the CNN.
See, it's all sarcastic. But see, we've gone from there's no move for a world government, it doesn't exist, nuts talk about it, to you can't prove the world government that's being formed is murderous.
I'm not even granting you that there's a world government being formed.
Yeah, and that's why you're discredited.
Do you think sometimes you work yourself up into a lather on the show where you might sort of overstate your case slightly?
Certainly I've overstated the case sometimes, but more often than not, in hindsight, it comes out and it's far worse than I'd even thought.
New World Order scum, we are not your slaves!
He says he actually hates his job and would love to stop his show. If only the bankers would be put in jail, the federal government made smaller, and all corrupt wars ended.
You are criminals! You control the
But he says he doesn't see any of those things happening anytime soon. Until then, he says, it is his duty to shake America out of its trance.
Our good friends at Nightline.
For Nightline, this is Dan Harris in Austin, Texas.
And, of course, that entire...
And our thanks to Dan Harris for that report. Up next...